Hey guys, what's going on? In today's video, I'm going to be talking about the upcoming 210 dungeon for Dungeon Quest, and I'm going to be talking about the leaks that have been revealed from Voldex in the past few days. So if you guys don't know what's been going on with Dungeon Quest recently, Voldex has just released a small updates to bring back a lot of the old cosmetics to the game, but more importantly, we've gotten more leaks about the 210 dungeon. And we now have a progress update where the dungeon is now being tested by the development team. Now, unfortunately, I am not part of the testing group for this dungeon, so when this update releases, I will be making a video in a similar format as my Yokai Peak first impressions and my Northern Lands first impressions. But back to this video, I'm going to be talking mostly about the leaks we've been getting in the most recent days, because the ones we've been getting for the last month I don't really care about, honestly. And as well, the most recent leaks have a few hidden details which really cover a significant portion about this dungeon. So I like to talk about my opinions of what to expect. So when we got our first set of sneak peeks for this dungeon, they were kind of poetic fashion, but they didn't really pose any significance to what we should expect to the dungeon, honestly. I mean, it was cool that they were ciphered in Caesar Cipher, and I was able to decipher them, but they weren't really that significant to me. It was only when we started getting the pictured ciphers, as you can see here, the first one with the Gilded Skies logo apparently, and one with the clash between the Gilded Skies people and the Void people. This really made me think that this dungeon was going to be a Void version of Gilded Skies, which I think was kind of a cool twist on the lore, because when Gilded Skies released, there was a Void lore behind it already, so it was nice to see Voldex theorize or expand on that more. Now, the most significant thing about these early leaks for me was that one of the ciphers had stated that the Queen of the Gilded Skies people was named Adalis and ruled with Vitilis, but it looked like the Void people had corrupted their body and they are now kind of a vessel, I guess. So there's a chance that Adalis will be one of the bosses for the Void dungeon, which could be really cool to see. But yeah, nothing really else left to say about these old leaks. All that we were given is that the Gilded Skies was once a peace nation, and then they were attacked by the Void people, and then they lost the battle and sealed them away. But the Void people had taken over one of their leaders' bodies as a vessel, so they might be one of the bosses. But now we know that the new dungeon will be a Void dungeon. So that was all we could really take away from these sneak peeks. Now, the most recent leaks is where it gets interesting. We started getting leaks about the actual enemies and bosses in the game, but there is another hidden component which I will talk about later. So based on the leaks that we've gotten, it looks like we've been shown 4 minions as well as 2 bosses. Well, one of the bosses at the time of recording this is not actually posted in the Discord, but you can still see it in game, so technically it counts. Now, this is the first one. It's actually kind of hard to see any detail about it, but based on what it looks like, it kind of resembles Dracani soldiers and Dracani guardians in a way. Like, the general pose and the arms and possibly the shoulder pad is really resemblant of the Dracani guardians and Dracani soldiers from Gilded Skies. So I guess since it's a mix of Gilded Skies and Void, it's not really a major surprise, but I would have liked to see like something else along with this. Now, the second leak is where it gets interesting. If we brighten up the image, you can see 2 figures clearly in black, as well as some slight armor details. And these 2 are extremely close to the Dracani soldiers and Dracani mages from Gilded Skies. The left one is somewhat closer to Craig in terms of his head shape, but the general body shape is more similar to a Dracani soldier. And the right entity is very similar to the Dracani Mage, if not the same. Now, of course, it's not exactly the same. As you can see, it's a lot of purple, and maybe the shape is very slightly different, but you can really see the resemblance to the Dracani people here. Now, the next leak shows a boss, what I presume. This looks something similar from that boss in Just Shapes and Beats. So it looks like there's a big head and 2 giant arms, which they will attack with. So I don't really know what this really means. I couldn't really see the shape of the boss very well, even when I brighten up the image. But that's all I can take from it. The next leak is presumably for the last minion, and it looks like a Dracani person has been corrupted and has a snake head. As weird as it is, it's kind of cool actually, and would be pretty interesting to see in game, even if it's maybe a little bit creepy. Now the last leak we've gotten is, you can probably tell from the image shown, is it's probably going to be Attalus in a void form. Now if I were to theorize where this would be in the main dungeon, I would presume this is the second boss we encounter. The first boss leak we got in the channel, I believe, would be the main boss, but we don't really know what the first boss even is, or if there's going to be a 4th boss. I don't know, this is all just theory at the moment, but I'm presuming they're going to do a 4th boss, just like they did in Yokai Peak. Oh well, we'll have to see though. Now on the surface, it looks like these are all we are shown, just a couple enemies and a few bosses. But believe it or not, if we brighten up the image, you can actually see there are hidden elements in the background of the sneak peeks. Now in the first sneak peek, if we brighten it up, we can see a little bit of what we can assume to be an armor piece. And behind the entity's arm, it looks like there is a weapon behind it. Now it is theorized that this is the Warrior Legendary. However, I don't really know enough details to make an assumption on that. But it does look like a weapon nonetheless. Now if we brighten up the second leak, we can see behind one of the entities there is another piece of the armor leak that we've gotten from the first one. In the third sneak peek, we have what appears to be an armor piece in the top right corner. We can also see on the left side there seems to be an entity there. We don't really know what it is, unfortunately, so I can't really talk about that. Now the 4th and 5th sneak peeks show off the last remaining parts of the armor leak that we've gotten in the previous leaks. And if we put them all together based on some Photoshop magic, we get something that looks like this. Now just by looking at this armor set, I am presuming this is going to be the tier 3 warrior set, which means it'll be the higher tier armor set you can get on Nightmare difficulty. Now based on how the armor looks, I actually kind of like it. I like the chest piece, and I like the gauntlets, as well as the shoulder pads being dragons. I guess the only criticism I would give for this armor set is it reminds me a lot about Elden Bark Warrior based on the color scheme, and there are some bits taken from the Gildan Scale Guardian set. So the skull mask kind of gave me Elden Bark Warrior vibes. The gauntlets are very close to Gildan Scale Guardian, and even the legs are somewhat similar to Gildan Scale in a way. Otherwise, other than those problems, I actually quite like this armor, and I would give it an 8 out of 10 in my book. So expectations are not too crazy high compared to VCappy's dungeons, but I am expecting a lot more from this compared to Yokai Peak. So I am quite excited for this dungeon, and I will be making videos once it releases, so stay tuned for that. But otherwise, I think that's going to wrap up this video. It's just a little short video just to give you guys the leaks on the 210 dungeon, and just let you guys know that the dungeon will be coming soon. Now my guess for a release date is it's going to be on the same day that Yokai Peak released last year, so it'll be on October 13th. Since Voldex has said it'll take roughly 3 weeks to test absolutely everything and do some balancing. So that's my presumed release date, and that's going to end off this video right here. Now if you guys like this video and hope to see me play the new 210 dungeon and do some extra challenges, please subscribe to my channel and like this video for more content like this. I'm the Amazing Gamer and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.